Say we are Hangout on Air is live. Good morning, everybody. This is TK with Saturday Morning with a Side of Tech, and you would know it, but we have Josh from What Would Josh Do with us in the house. I want to say good morning, Josh. How you doing? Yeah, I know. I want to have the go off. We'll work on that technology next. I know. I don't have that. But how are you, bro?
I am awesome. How about you? It is early for me. Late last night, I woke up at 8 this morning, and I was like, I'm gonna sleep a couple more hours. That's my weekend. I don't gotta get my daughter to school, so it's whatever. I wake up whenever I want to wake up.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, no, we drop off my son at 8, but my wife usually takes care of that, so it also works out. I'm an early riser. I've always been. I wake up kind of like 4:30 in the morning.
I used to. And not so much now that I'm getting a little bit older.
It's a little harder.
On Saturday mornings, we used to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch cartoons on Channel 2.
That's exactly Saturday morning cartoons. That's 90% the reason you would want to wake up early on a Saturday. I remember. Now my son wakes up and gets his tablet, and he's like, "Dad, can you help me with this game?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's moved on.
It has definitely moved on.
Yes.
My daughter still uses a little Moto G. No SIM card in it, but she uses that thing like crazy.
They're not bad. Once you take the radios on, the battery lasts a lot longer, and you can actually get pretty good performance for what they need and the level of games that they're playing. It does exactly what you need. I want to get
the new Moto G. That thing looks pretty nice, and I want to get that thing. That way I can retire the old Moto G. It's still running like CM11 monthly 4 from like over a year ago.
I actually have I don't know if you remember the T-Mobile, I think it was the MyTouch devices. That's one of the oldest ones I have, and I have CM7 running on it.
Yeah, I didn't have T-Mobile at the time. Mm-hmm. I had T-Mobile a long time ago, back in the Sidekick days. Oh my goodness. Man, yeah. Oh my goodness. And then I had Sprint for most of my life, though. I was 18 years old, and they wanted the least amount of money. Mm-hmm. They wanted the least amount of money every month and the least deposit. So I was like, heck yeah. And my parents and my family all had Sprint, and at the time, minutes were not cheap. So it made sense to buy whatever everybody else had to talk to them. And it's just Sprint definitely has gone downhill.
It's an interesting, the evolution of how Sprint was. Actually my first cell phone was with Sprint. I did the same exact thing. That was the enticing part. At the time, I felt frustrated a little bit because the selection of devices was limited. They always had their own proprietary Qualcomm phones and so on. And then at a later point, when they started getting more, prime or mainstream devices, T-Mobile, or I guess at that time was VoiceStream, came about in our area, and I joined. So I've been with T-Mobile way before T-Mobile was even T-Mobile in the US. It used to be VoiceStream here in the area.
Nice. Hey, I'm looking at your Twitter real quick. I'm going to go ahead and see if you've posted a link to this live stream.
Thought I did. Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm not seeing one. I was going to go ahead and copy that link or retweet it or something.
Yeah. Let me just do that. I got to jump back into the Hangout. Yeah, because I posted it on the main one. Yeah. Copy.
Like, can you see who all's watching and stuff? I don't.
On my side, it shows. Oops, let me open up the camera back. And I got to open up chat. It says 2 viewers. Yes. Wait, does that mean it's us? I'm not sure. I am not sure. Let me just post that real quick.
Do you use a mechanical keyboard?
Yeah, it's the mechanical split keyboard, an old ergonomic one. Most of the time when I'm on my laptop, though, it's a lot quieter. It's an older Microsoft's, the one with the split hands on the right and left.
Oh yeah, my stepmom had one of those, and I love that thing.
For me, it feels more natural because my hands generally tend to be more, open. So here it is. This link's posted.
Yep, I just shared it.
Yeah, I got to turn on. My headphones tell me my text, and it's reading it to me verbally. I'm like, thank you. No. Actually, that wasn't us. The 2 viewers. So one viewer was somebody else. The 2 viewers were somebody else.
Nice.
because it went down to one, but I think it's, as we're sharing it, we'll start getting more. I didn't get any extra questions, so we may just be able to go through it this way, and hopefully people will start joining. I posted it. We had, if I'm correct, oh yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, Josh is with us. Josh from Joshua Bane.
Yeah, Josh, he's a cool guy.
He's very cool. Yeah, met him last year at the barbecue. Very cool. Very nice guy.
I always want to go to those darn things, but freaking never get to go.
Dude, it's coming up. October is around the corner, and tickets are still available. No? Yeah? No? No? Okay. We'll get into that. So let's.
I just it would be an inconvenience for sure.
It's a little bit out, but I can say that the ambiance that you get there, or at least the environment that you'll get yourself in there, it's truly centered around Android, and it's many aspects of Android. It's not just Android from the sense of, like XDA would be there, but like manufacturers, HTC, Oppo was there last year. Obviously, OnePlus was there. You get different companies that work with them, like I think NVIDIA was there, and they were giving out NVIDIA Shields. There was Intel that was not Intel. Canon was there, was showing their 3D glasses. They were demoing things there. So there's a lot of different things you could do there. The question would be, is it worth taking a couple of days out of your time? I think you can go there and do most of the things in one day. But if you don't stay for the barbecue, you miss out on the socializing and meeting other people. Meeting, like CM, meeting almost the entire team of CM, Steve, all the developers, Shen Yi, all of those guys. And like I said, there's a lot of I met a lot more people from XDA during the last barbecue, which was really nice.
Awesome. Yeah. CM I haven't been following CM too much. They're still, is everything still the same with them, or have they slowed down, or?
Overall, I think the main thing that they're focusing on right now is just keeping 12.1, CM 12 to 12.1, up to date, and they're, I think, mostly just focusing on releasing with more OEMs, and they're going mostly Asian markets. So they're there, they're still working, they're doing their thing. It's just mostly, not that they're not in the OnePlus, they're not in the middle of everybody's face anymore. They're more in the background. I think the Jordan on XDA did a video on a device, I think it was the Zook device that's supposed to support CM 12.1 once it's available for the international model. So they're there, they're still working, and obviously I use I guess a different version of CM with Bliss Pop on my Nexus 6. So it's a canned version of, I guess, CM 12.1 with additional things.
I got Mean Pop on my Nexus 6 right now, and it's just more of a stock feel, like you would if you just installed a fresh Nexus image. But there's like battery percentage, and there's like all these little mods, and the reboot option. I cannot believe we've gone through so many versions of Android, and they still do not let you hold down the power button and reboot the darn thing. You only get power off.
This just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. I don't know why. I think it's one of those things that they never really get to, because they just work on it so much. They never really reboot their devices, or when they're flashing firmware, they just jump into recovery and they're using ADB, because you can run most of those commands in ADB if you connect to the system. But I think it could be the flaw, where mostly when they work with the devices, they're not on the device. They're remotely logged into it.
When you do an ADB reboot, though, it kills Android. But
if you're trying to run code, if you're trying to run a recovery, trying to test firmware, that's usually where you would end up running your ADB reboot. You can do ADB reboot recovery, or you can do fast boot. There's many things that you can, but I feel like it really, all the OEMs have it. I know it's possible, and we can definitely install an expose mod and fix that. Or if we can, once we get root, actually we fix it. So that's really mostly what we need.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty negative things about root on the Note 5, as far as breaking things, as far as like Samsung Pay and other things like that. But on my Nexus device, I can have root and still use my stuff. I use Google Wallet on my rooted M9, but it's like I don't know. Samsung's always been going the path of anti-rooting.
It's the for the lack of a better word, in my opinion, I guess it's the iOS way of doing things. They are becoming Apple of Android, which the easy way to say is, give you less selection. They control what they give you. You don't control what you have, and that's usually what things are. But let's go ahead and start off quick, just to kind of give people a kind of a background. If you're not familiar with what would Josh do, Josh, how how did you start? What was your motivation? I guess maybe just let us know a little bit more about your channel. What are the things that you do on your channel?
I started back in 2010. I got a Samsung Moment, and I guess it was like an app or something I thought was really cool. So I just grabbed whatever camera I had and was like, hey, check out this app. And then so I think people were asking me like, what, like, hey, your phone looks different than mine, because I had like I installed a custom ROM because I was familiar with it back from the Windows Mobile days. Like, the PPC 6700 was my, oh man, that was my toy. That was my baby. The Windows Mobile phone.
We all started on Windows Mobile, yeah.
And so yeah, I got Android, and I was like, I felt right at home. I put 2.1 on there because I had 1.5 and I couldn't install Twitter. And the people kept asking questions. People kept asking questions like, hey, do this. Hey, how'd you do that? It's like, hey, can you show me that? And at the time, there wasn't like a big group of people doing that. It was very slim, and I used my income tax to buy a 1080p camera, so I was like the only one making videos that were more than 360p at the time. Back in 2010, like, YouTube was having a hard time processing 1080p, like, because it was fairly new. 2009 they released HD. 2010 they went 1080p. So I remember I had trouble with them even accepting my video because it was such a high quality at the time. So,
I remember 720 is considered HD in many standards. The base of HD is 720.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they think 1080 is the base, but no, there's actually a lower level. You're right. It's harder.
Yeah, it is. So, so I came from a time when that was still new, and it picked up. It took a little while to gain traction, but around 2013, that's when I hit 10,000, and then it just took off from there. And I'm never, you see people with millions and millions, but I still look at 150 and go, wow, that's a lot.
It is a great accomplishment, especially because of the fact that, as you can see, there's loyalty also, and it does work, and what you're doing is actually, it does have an audience, and that's the beauty of it. YouTube is big enough that you can actually experience both sides.
Yeah, so I was lucky, and I got started into this when it was still new. Sprint had just gotten Android. It was still all new, so I didn't have very much competition. I definitely grew up with like Tim from QB King. I remember he had 600 subscribers at the time, and I had 2,000. And I was like, "Hey, I like your videos. I'm gonna start like talking about your video when I do my Epic videos, because my cousin had one, and I was just like, I would play with it, make a quick little video, and then go, I don't really have this device, so go to my man Tim on QB King, and he'll show you how to do this." And he took off. He definitely got traction and took off. A lot of that success was XDA, like you. A lot of XDA members really liked his stuff, so they shared his video on the posts and stuff. So he had a lot of help from XDA to grow his channel.
And and that's actually how I got introduced to XDA. My first XDA experience when I started back in the old days was with T-Mobile MDA. It was Windows Mobile. It wasn't prior to Android even being a main device before even the first Nexus came out, and that's actually where I got into Android. I got in with the first Nexus, the HTC Nexus, and then I would flash mod ROMs and change and upgrade my Windows. The Windows. I think my MDA was stuck to 5, and I was able to upgrade to 5.1, and then later on be able to just get more features. And then one day, at least for me, XDA put out a posting, say, "Hey, we're looking for talent. If you're interested, submit your entries." I did. And I got in. That's actually, it was almost like a draw kind of thing. And then I've worked as much as I can on my videography, but I've done a lot of support more on XDA. I've been in the background longer than I've done videos, at least with XDA.
Yeah.
And now it's 3 years later with XDA. I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. Time flies.
Yeah, I know.
So it's good.
I still get alerts like app review, XDA developers. Yeah,
It's
awesome.
it's a good experience. I actually, maybe it's a good segue to even look at it as this way. I mean, what's your current daily driver? Is your latest toy your daily driver, or do you
definitely
have
the Note 5? I've grown very fond of it. I like it a lot. I definitely have a few little complaints here and there, but nothing show-stopping, nothing to stop me from using it as a main device. I have 2 carriers. I always carry 2 phones. That's just how I work. I always carry 2 phones, 2 different carriers. In case one is working better than the other, or I don't have signal here, but this one might have signal there. So I carry the Nexus 6 and the Note 5 at the moment.
Yeah, and so for me, at least, as you would expect from the title of this video, my daily driver right now is the S6 Edge Plus, which in my opinion is the longest title of a device I could have.
Yes.
When I try to look it up, Galaxy S6 Edge
Samsung
Plus.
Galaxy S6 Edge
Oh my
Plus.
God. That was a tough one. I want to say, just say the 6 Edge Plus. I keep calling it a Note. That's the other weird thing about it. For me, it has a lot of reminiscence to a Note, because I come from the Note Edge. So the Note Edge to me is my work device. That's my secondary device that I carry with me 90% of the time. And it's a device that I carry all the time. So it has Note functionality, but it has the Edge as well in a different way.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play with the Edge. I just I can't get every phone, you know. I have to prepare for it, save up, and buy it, you know. So I have to make a decision, you know, and when you're already spending $800 for a phone, spending $900 close to $1,000 is just it hits you hard.
I, for the first time ever, decided to use T-Mobile's Jump on Demand. That was about the only way I can get my Edge.
What's your thoughts on that at the moment? How are you liking that?
It was actually not a bad deal. It's just from a tech reviewer's point of view, it's a good deal, because you get the chance to get access to the devices, up to 3 to 4 devices a year. It's 3, I think, the way they do it when you start with the first one. And you're basically leasing it. There's no real bad way about it. You know, right? You pay a monthly fee. You get to do things to it. Now, the downside for me, at least right now, is I can't root this. I can't do anything to it I can't trip Knox. I can't do any of that stuff. So I can do regular reviews, but can I go beyond that, do mods and stuff like that, which is what I normally like to do when I get a device. And historically, that's what I've done with a lot of my other Galaxy devices. I'll show you guys how to do different videos. And I think we kind of do similar things on our own channels. But that's the beauty of it. I want to show you guys how you can make this thing more yours, how you can customize it. And if you don't like something, change it.
If something annoys the crap out of you. And I definitely like the fact that they've made it streamlined now, where if you don't want the little S Connect and Quick Connect FU, you can actually hit the edit button, and down here at the bottom, you can actually tell it to turn those things on or off.
Exactly.
I don't need to root this thing and install an exposed module to do that. And if they're going to keep letting customers have their own choice, roots can become less and less of something you have to do, or versus you want to do it.
Well, so that's a good subject to kind of touch on. The way. So the carriers are starting to give you, not the carriers, the manufacturers, the OEMs are starting to give you more customizations. I mean, we have themes now. We have, like you said, icon packs. You can install things. You can do different things to change the look. TouchWiz actually runs a lot better than what I remember on my Note 2 even.
Yeah, definitely.
They're listening. They're making improvements. They're still including the entire kitchen sink in there. I don't know why they add so many features, but at the end of the day, there's a core set of features that they're doing well. What I'm realizing lately is that a lot of people stopped talking about CIQ and stopped talking about the fact that carriers are now installing system apps. And I think I hit you up one time on Twitter asking you about, because you got your phone before I got mine, so I wasn't sure. I saw this first with my LG G4. T-Mobile's application, the My Account, is a system app.
Yep.
And you cannot uninstall it. It runs in the background. It's on by default. And it's tracking your information and giving you recommendations and everything by default in the system. I've even tried, I've been as far as using a deep loading software from Root Junkie. I don't know if you've seen that one before. It's a good tool to use when you don't have root and you want to deep load system apps. You can turn them off at the ADB level. And it stops the app, but there's a function, there's like an Android T-Mobile command that runs in the background that just keeps killing your battery, and you can't turn it off.
Dang.
So it's moving on to the next level. I think root will always be there. I think if they give us the option to root or not to root, it's kind of like when HTC released the dev version, right? They asked you to say, if you want to unlock your bootloader, just submit the request, we'll unlock your bootloader.
Yeah.
It's done by the manufacturers. They know about it. I think they should give us the option too. Knox doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all kind of rule, because 90% of us disable Knox anyways.
Definitely.
Once we rooted, all of the other devices I've had that are TouchWiz device, I've disabled Knox. I've uninstalled the link even. I've deleted the link that says download Knox. It's great for enterprise, but not for the regular power user.
Yeah, as far as let's go back to the system apps thing. Like,
Hmm.
I after 40 days, I always either call it T-Mobile or I just use the Unlock app. And like my Note 4 from T-Mobile is on AT&T
Yeah.
specifically because it's got twerp recovery, it's got the latest super issue, it's rooted, and all those system apps that normally you can't get rid of. It's an
Hmm.
AT&T phone now. It's got an AT&T SIM card in it, but it's got all these T-Mobile apps. But with root, I was able to set a filter with Titanium and just uninstall everything that had T-Mobile brand on it in the system.
Well, and I think you and I also back in the when we were getting our Note 4s, we talked a little bit when we were having those automatic games installed, those
Yes,
things that started showing up on our
yes.
notes
You're
with
just
like
like, where did this app come
where,
from?
yeah. So that's another thing that's going on. The G4 had the same thing where, but it wasn't games; it was forced OTAs. You turned on your device and your phone reboots and says installing OTA. I'm like, what did you just install? What did I sign up for?
Yeah, it's like when
We're getting the push. Yeah. So now we're getting to look at the carriers wanting to actually take control of this device that we paid full price for. It's our
yeah.
device, but they still control it because it was provided through them and it's compatible with their band. So there's always going to be the concern. I personally think root will always be a thing that I will always want to get on any device I get. That's 90% of when I make a decision to buy a device. It's how well is it supported? The likeliness of it getting root at some point in the near future
Yes.
is going to be a big decision factor for me. So any device I look at, if I can't figure out that I'm going to get root on it, it's not on my list. It doesn't matter how nice it looks because it's a short-lived dream kind of. I can look at it, but what's the point?
I remember I had one of the old Samsung moments, and I remember the HTC Evo was getting CyanogenMod, and I was like, my next phone is going to support CyanogenMod. I'm going to buy a phone that I can put CyanogenMod on. So I got the HTC. Um, oh goodness, what was that phone?
Was it the
The
Sensation?
Evo.
Oh, the
Um,
Evo 4G or the Evo 3D?
the Evo 3D. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I got the Evo 3D. So excited I was going to get CyanogenMod, and then we never got it.
I
We
know.
got all these like developer previews, like, hey, your battery's not gonna work. Like the phone's not gonna know what your battery life is. Your camera's not gonna work. I remember I was coming home from work and I got lost, and my phone GPS wasn't working, and I was like, ah.
I know. It's
um,
it's it's fun fighting through the betas and the alphas
yep,
and all
most
the
definitely.
everything works except for this one little thing.
Yeah, and then
But
you
it's
don't think it matters that much until you use that feature and it doesn't
yeah.
work. But as far as back to rooting, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. One of my biggest issues right now with rooting like a Nexus device
Mhm.
is updates. Like, okay, so 5.1 came out, and then 5.1 point something, and then another little 10 megabyte update. And every time I
Yeah.
root the darn thing with Chainfire's CF Auto root, I can't install an update. I can't
So
install an update because I changed the system, and so now
is
I
it
got to flash it back to stock.
well no, so that's the thing. So is that the Nexus 9 or the Nexus?
Seven,
Yeah.
well,
So for that
713.
one, you just need to download the root the toolkit. Every Nexus device in the development area, there's always basically a
Yes.
toolkit. So I think Nexus 6 has it is by Wong Fresh. Forget the
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
once you download that, you can download a rooted image of the update within a few days after it's released. So as long as you're upgrading from one system to another, you can actually reinstall and just don't wipe your internal storage.
Yeah, I know there's a way to do it manually, but I
You
just
lose it. You lose the automatic. I agree. Samsung figured out how to do it went around that because even if you root your device, you can plug in the keys or whatever smart switch is now for TouchWiz, and it will upgrade your device to the next version. You lose root, but it will upgrade your device. You're right,
yeah.
and I think Nexus needs to have something, or Google needs to provide some type of tool, especially since they know this is a development device. People will root and people will unlock the bootloader.
Yeah.
It's not intended to be just used as a. I mean, people are, but it's not intended to be used as a regular consumer device.
So I've reset this darn thing like 6 different times just to get the latest version of Android on it, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It's not even rooted at the moment. And you know what the funny thing is? I'm less likely to root a Nexus device than I am a carrier phone like an LG or a Samsung or something,
Hmm.
just because like the whole system apps thing, like Instagram or making something like say you don't have an Instagram account, you don't want to affiliate yourself with Instagram in any way.
Hmm.
You have that app on your phone, you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, and it's one of those really frustrating. But I think it's part of the income. If I understand, I saw an article somewhere. They actually get kickback. It's part of their marketing campaign. They make money off the device, even though they're selling it to you for full price. They still make money off of
Yeah,
it.
because they're like, people are gonna be like, hey, what's this app? Let me open this up. Oh, I need to create an account. Okay, let me do that. Like
Yeah,
WhatsApp. I personally have. I don't think I've ever used WhatsApp. I don't
I've been
know
asked
what
why
that
I don't
is.
have it, but it's very popular outside of the U.S. Let's put it that way. It's popular outside of the U.S. and mostly Asian markets, in the Middle East, as far as I remember. In Europe, not as much, but it's basically a chat tool, but it's a cost money on a yearly basis after the first free year. It's great if you need it, if you use it, but if you don't, you're right. Why do we have to have it? I mean, we can turn them off now, but it's still there. It's turned
It's
off.
still there. It's still there.
It's still there.
It's
But
like freezing an app. It's
exactly, it's all it is, and I want to be able to uninstall it. And if I want to put it back, I want to put it in a regular portion. I don't want to put it in my system folder. It's not intended to be in the system. It's not a system app.
yeah.
And that's how I feel about the T-Mobile My Account app. I understand the benefit of it. It's great if you want to use it. I don't like the fact that once you root your device, it tells you this system has been rooted. Your
Yeah.
system is compromised now. And I'm like, that's not true.
You're
That is
going
so not
away.
true.
You're
Yeah,
going away.
no, and I think they're worried and they want to make you scared of it, and then that's not true. Rooting your device does not damage your device. You can easily unroot the device, lock in the bootloader and different things that may not be the same, but I just feel bad. But that's one of my reasons why I removed the app. It's just I don't want something to tell me like I'm doing something bad because I
Yeah,
rooted it.
exactly.
So
Like
it's one of those.
go ahead.
No, it's one of those things that kind of like to get me. Like I said, first thing I do when I open the device, it's like it pops up. But that's because I'm using T-Mobile 90% of the time. I have AT&T for my for my second phone, so it's a little different there. But it's pretty much the same. AT&T installs things too. I open it up and I see apps, games, or advertising things that I didn't ask for.
As far as probably one of the most annoying phones I've ever rooted before. It was like this constant reminder you need to reboot your phone because there's been unauthorized modifications done to it, and you're just like, you are.
It is not your position to tell me any of that.
I know.
So, out of curiosity, from a sense of just your normal day, obviously not the weekends and so on. What's your kind of daily usage? Is it? I mean, how many hours usually do you get on your device to be comfortable with the device?
Definitely not so much now as I used to be before in the past, but like I don't know. I don't find myself constantly using my phone all day long like I used to at one point. Like if I'm waiting for something, like say I'm getting my oil changed or I'm at the DMV or something, yeah, I'll sit there and spend the whole time on my phone. But like when I'm at home, I don't find myself using my phone that much honestly anymore. I just don't. I don't know. I don't even have any games on at the moment. Not a single game on here, I don't think.
I only have one, and I installed it because I wanted to see how it ran. But it's my all-time favorite, Need for Speed Most Wanted. Every phone I get, I try to install that.
I do
It's a
like
good game.
that. That is a good game. I like that one too.
Good graphics, good soundtrack, and it looks great when you project it. If
I
you connect it.
remember when they finally supported Moga controllers. I was like, oh.
I know, right? It's like finally. I know, but it makes it's with these type of devices that we got. I mean, we both chose they both released at the same time. So you chose, I think, the Note 5, and I'm not sure about the carrier, but you chose the Note 5, and I think it was T-Mobile. Oh, no, It is T-Mobile. And I chose the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. And a lot of similarities with some subtle differences outside of the S Pen. Obviously, that's a big difference. But
you don't have to worry about breaking your phone by putting this darn thing in the wrong way.
Yeah, let's not open the S Pen gate here. So this turned into another 2.5-hour video of discussing how I was like, so during the chat, the S Pen got stuck the other way, and it went down.
I wouldn't do it, but I've seen people try to bend this thing, and it held up pretty well. Then I watched a guy bend the M9, and that server was just caved, and was like it was like a U. It was so. Oh,
the M9.
Yes, the M9.
It's supposed to be the standard of the beast. Yeah, oh man, that's supposed to be the beast of all phones. All the M8 and M9s. That's like one of the main appeal of them. It's like they're solid.
Yeah.
But I guess not as solid as my M7. The M7 is actually a lot more solid. I feel like it's sturdier, even though it's small.
Oh man, the M7. Oh man.
I actually still have the M7 sitting somewhere. I don't remember where, but I have an M7 with AT&T.
If a
One of the
device
main
sits on the
reasons
shelf long enough, I go to pick it up and it's not there anymore. My my wife, she puts it on Craigslist or whatever, and
I
it's
was actually going to say, ask your kid, because that's what 90% of my stuff disappears. Is I find out and my son finds out it's been sitting there for a while, so you don't want it, right? It's mine.
yeah,
So
exactly. And I've always had that philosophy. Like I hate it when like I remember when I was a teenager and it's like, oh, this RC car, you know, like you never ever touch it. You haven't used it in over a year. Can I have it? Like I don't understand why someone holds on to something that they're never ever going to use. I mean,
right.
I understand if you paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for it, but like at the same time, it's like if you don't use it anymore, give it to somebody that can use it. That's my whole
Exactly.
philosophy on things.
Exactly. And I totally agree. I try to do the same. And sometimes I try to keep devices mostly because of the comparisons. That's really the
Yeah,
90%. But
exactly. Exactly.
the boom sound on the M7 was the standard of all boom sounds that everybody's trying to copy. Like an Nexus 6 has something similar to it with the front-facing speakers, which is why I like it and I love it. I miss that right now with my S6 Edge Plus, but the sound actually on the S6 Plus, I got to come up with a shorter name for this phone. The sound on this device is louder than the Nexus 6 that I have, which is something I'm definitely enjoying. But how long have you been using, I guess, or how long have you been a user of the TouchWiz device? I mean, obviously this is the latest iteration that we're looking at, but how long have you been using it? Have you been a fan of the Note since the beginning, or did you start off with a maybe generation 2, 3?
My first Note was the Note 2.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Samsung moment back when I was on a 2-year contract, and I watched a lot of other phones come out, like the Epic 4G
Yep.
or
Mhm.
the Evo 4G came out right after that, and like all these phones came out, and so the Samsung moment never got like a TouchWiz thing. It was a pretty stock feel to like a few little apps here and there that you didn't really want that you just got
Mhm.
rid of with Root. But then the Note 2, like the Note 1, I remember I went to the AT I went to Best Buy and they had it there, and I was like, this is huge. There's no way I'm holding this up to my ear and making a like I'm not doing that. There's no way. That looks insane. And then I got the Note 2 and I fell in love. I
That's
was
how the love
just
story started with the Note.
I,
Actually, that it's almost my exact way of my entry into the Note field. It was the Note 2. The first Note I didn't think really was. I always felt like it was just new. The Note 2 did it better. The ergonomics were better. It was slippery, but it was better.
oh my gosh,
The
dude, those
camera
are the
was
days. I
yeah.
love the Note 2, man. I remember like just that pin, like that pin. My daughter was like, wow, she was so young at the time. I think she was like 3 or 4, and she was just grabbing my pin and writing on my screen, and it was just so cool.
It's definitely. I mean, it's been and they've done a good job of stepping it up every year.
Oh yeah,
I think the
definitely.
3 did a really good job. The 4 was a little bit of a bump. And
Yeah,
so
the
the
4 was
5,
the 3 was a huge jump from the Note 2.
yeah,
Like
it was night and day, and you wanted to upgrade to the 3. When you got the
yeah, like
4, you were like,
one that still has a Note 3 to this day, they're probably still happy with it. It probably
I
does.
just sold my Note 3 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the Note
I've
3.
had it for that long.
Yeah, the Note 3. There's. I mean, I don't know if it's been updated to Lollipop or anything. I'm sure it has.
There's many wrong. Yeah, I've
Yeah, I'm
updated.
sure the ROM
T-Mobile
wise, yeah.
released Lollipop, but it's I think 5.0. I think it's 5.0 or 5.0.2. It wasn't 5.1.1, so the memory leak was still there.
Because I remember when I did a Note 3 versus Note 4, and I was just like, there's there's no reason to if you're trying to save money or if you're someone that gets a new phone every 2 years, and you're like, if you have a Note 3, it's like there's no reason to jump to the Note 4. There's like no reason. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Note 4 is faster and a little better here and there, but we're
Hmm.
getting to a point in time where everything's just slightly better or not even noticeable at all than the previous phone. Like you don't know, like opening apps up between the two phones, you're not going to notice a darn difference at all.
How
Uh,
do you feel about the Note 5 then? How was the Note 5's experience? I mean, getting it out of the box and starting to use it. I mean, to the Note 4 or even to the Note 3 with Lollipop.
um, I I don't know. I don't know exactly how to answer that. I don't.
For me, when because so for me, I still use the Note. So for me, it's the Note Edge, as I said. So I still have the actual feeling of the Note. That's my my work phone, if I have to say, and it's a lot faster. TouchWiz is very optimized, and I think it's
Yes.
just they did a really good job of running things and putting things in a much more minimalistic way. You still have features, you don't have all of them. When I go to the S6 Edge Plus, because obviously it's not a Note. But I like the fact that I can do, the split screen is there and it launches faster. The ability to, when you're selecting apps out of the box, I have a bigger selection on the new version with the S6 Edge Plus than I had with the Note 4. The Note 4, you'd have to basically root to add all the other apps, and here we have a bigger selection.
True.
Yeah, so
If
it's
you
one of
have the
those
latest
things.
version, you have all the latest and greatest features, like the live streaming feature. I'm sure that could be easily, I don't know about easily, but I'm sure it's going to be ported to other phones.
I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes the big update to a lot of devices. The interesting part would be is to see how they port it into, especially Nexus devices that don't have the same camera interface, because I think it's built into the UI, in the camera UI for at least Samsung devices right now.
Yeah, it would not shock me to see either Samsung do it or someone from XDA do it to the Note 4. Like, oh, you have all these, because I remember like ZeniMax back in the day would always do like have the Note 3 features on your Note 2. Like, I don't mean to say it like that. I wasn't trying to mock him. I'm just saying like it's like you can have all. You don't have to go get this new phone to get all these new features. You don't have to.
It's true, and that's what made my Note 3 last so long. That's one of the reasons why it lasted so long. I was able to download and install the Note 4 ROM directly on it, and I got all the features of the new features that make you want to go. It's all software. 90% of it. It's not really the hardware. The hardware can still handle it. I mean, we're still talking, dual core, quad core, and
I know
now we have octa core and hex core. So.
Oh my goodness, that was my first jump up to quad core. I think it was my first phone with 2 gigs of RAM. Like that was like, man, the Note 2 is a game changer for me. I mean, just everything about phones from the past, like this was where things were headed. This is where things are going. You got a bigger screen, you got this huge battery, you've got this quad core, all this memory. Like that was, oh my goodness, the Note 2. I would compare getting the Note 2 to going from a G1 or a Samsung Moment to the Evo 3D. When I got the Evo 3D, I was so excited. It went from taking minutes to install one app to like just seconds. Like the dual core processor just handled everything so much faster than the old single core processors.
Oh yeah, and I think they also upgraded the internal storage too, so we had faster access memory.
I think we had like 400 megabytes or 300 megabytes of room to install apps from the Play Store. And then with the Evo, I was like, oh, I got all these gigs now.
It's always a fun thing to actually get the new devices. It's one of those. It's really good. There's some things in them, right now with the new devices that I think a lot of people are noticing. Upgrade from the sense of, as I said, functionality. The camera, of course, is just the best. In my opinion, I compare it to the G4, and I like the G4's camera. But the UI on the G4 for me kind of puts me in a sense of I feel like it doesn't work right. I like the camera on the S6 Edge Plus. It works really good. I had a chance to play with the S6 Edge back when it first came out, and the camera just phenomenal. Double tap the home button, you get the camera. It launches quick every time, and great pictures. That's really what it is. You're there, you get the picture, and you get out. You don't have to worry about load time, issues or whatever. So from the sense of, I guess one of the reasons is when you went to upgrade or to get the Note 5, did you consider the S6 Edge Plus at all, or was it mostly I knew I was going to get the Note 5?
I knew I was going to get the Note 5. The S6 was a disappointment for me at best. It was a fast phone. I liked it. I wanted to really like it, but like the battery for me, I've said it probably 50 times. I'll say it again. I would have my M9 and my S6 charging right here on this table, and at 8 in the morning, I'd wake up, unplug both of them. I'd get my daughter to school, I'd make some videos, I'd play some video games, and then later that night, 9 o'clock, I'm like, let me just turn on my S6 to check my emails or something. It was dead, completely dead. I wouldn't even touch it all day long. And I'm like, okay, let me grab my M9. 93% battery life left. And people are like, oh, just reset your phone, it'll work a lot better. So my wife wanted to use it. I let her use it, we reset it. Same thing. I think she lasted 3 days before she went back to the Note 4. Like it was just the S6 battery life for me was just so bad that I don't even have the phone anymore. We don't even have it. I was like, I could sell this thing, for I think we sold it for like $400. It was like, I didn't want it. She didn't want it. It was just going to sit on the shelf, and I didn't like the S6 at all. And so the S6 Edge to me was like, is the battery life better? Can it last more than a few hours of not even touching it? Hello? You're frozen. I think it's frozen. Oh, I heard you.
Yes. Okay. That is interesting.
Oh, you're moving again.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Sorry, technical thing. It was I thought you were frozen, and I'm like looking at my Wi-Fi signal, and it looked like, nope, I lost Wi-Fi. I'm like, how did that happen? I'm sitting on a desktop.
Oh.
Anyways, sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, it's fine.
So for me, and I'm hoping that you were able to kind of elaborate a little bit more on the Note 5 selection and going with it and right out of the box. For me, I always kind of looked at it as they're both good devices. I held both devices and I looked at them and I saw the S Pen, I saw the functionalities. The only appeal that I had for the Note 5 over the S6 Edge Plus was the ability to write on the screen when the screen was off, because I think all the other functionalities are similar to the ones that we had before, just new ones, with the sense of what it was. And I looked at both of them, and then I saw the fact that I already have a Note. I have a Note Edge, the Note Edge device. So I said, if I had to get something, I'm not going to get something that it's almost like doubling notes. So I figured I'll go with the S6 Edge Plus. And then at that point, I think I look at it also as this. I would say that this is the grandfather of the S6 Edge Plus over the S6 because of the S6 Edge, because they really released this first, and then they fine-tuned it for the S6.
I think you lost signal. Are you back?
Wow. Now
there's two of you.
I wanted to double our channel viewers. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I thought I lost it, and I went back and I had to kind of jump back.
You didn't skip a beat. That was impressive. There was not even a hint of delay. You just
not much else you can see when you join your own group, and you're already in it still. They're like, yeah.
You didn't skip a beat. That was awesome.
Oh man, I have never had this much technical issue with a Hangout, but I guess today is the day my router decided to be funky.
What do you have?
I think it's the one that you recommended to me. The I want to say the Asus, the one with the 3 antennas. I forgot. Let me see if I can bring that up. I picked it up off of Amazon after you hit me up online when I asked about the router back in the day, and I appreciate a lot of the inputs. I actually do, and I compared them, and it was actually pretty good. It works way better than the Netgear that I have, especially with the signal. I couldn't get the one you got, the one with the red coloring, the beast of a router that just. I looked at it. I'm like, I want that. I can't get it, but I want it.
It's all you can do. You can't see it.
I know it's right there. Yeah, that's why I was kind of pointing. Like, yeah, it's right there. Mine is in a different room, but
it's a little. I don't want to bring the camera down too far.
No. It looks like a quadcopter that's ready to take off.
I have the antennas a little bit adjusted. Just that's they can go straight, but I have them a little bit adjusted. Whatever.
No. It's definitely it would have been great. Having Google Fiber would have been great as well, but I'm okay with AT&T here. So a lot of things I would like for that to show up here in Southern California. That's we don't have a lot of that stuff, but it's good.
There's this question that I'm surprised I haven't forgotten yet, and it's
Yeah.
been on my mind. What was your first device where you like re-experienced Android? Like you like for me it was like the moment, and not a lot of people know about that phone because you had to have Sprint at that time to get it.
Hmm.
I would compare it to the G1 in specs. Like the Evo 3D to me was like this huge jump forward. Like dude, this is fast. This is responsive. This is great. I feel like like if someone has like a photon or something, like an old photon, and it's
Hmm.
like you need to go get this phone, you're gonna love it. Like okay, if you tell someone to go from the Note 4 to the Note 5, they don't have this huge reason. Maybe the camera is 1 more megapixel. Maybe it has 1 more gig of RAM. Maybe it has this that yours doesn't. But like it's like you're talking a huge leap forward and everything about it in every way. Like the Note 1 to the Note 5, you know? Like just like a huge phenomenal leap. What was your first re-experience of Android? Did
Oh
you ever
man.
have a G1? Did
So
you
I
ever
never,
have a
I
single
never.
core?
So I did have a single core, and that was my first Nexus. The HTC Nexus was the first Android running stock Android device. The first time I experienced Android on a device was actually on my. It was an AT&T slat out MDA2 device, and it was around where I think it was Eclair was still running around, and they had a bootable image that you can dual boot on your Windows Mobile, and that was my first experience with Android. I didn't find it very functional because it wasn't designed directly for that device, and then I went into for a while with BlackBerry and Palm, and that's just bad experience there just to start with. And then I jumped in on the Nexus. I saw the commercial that Google put out, and I said, "Wait, what is?" And then I looked at it, and I saw I like it. The bump wasn't appealing to me, and the little mouse cursor on the bottom, I was like, "Why is there a mouse on a phone?" But when I got it and I held it in my hand, I was like, "This made sense. This is the device that I'd like to use," and I used it, and the moment, the aha moment that kind of got me running is they ported Wi-Fi calling to the Nexus phone. So it was a non-supported feature, and at the time I was running a custom ROM, and I was like, that's why I like Android. I like it because I can bring something to it that wasn't intended there. There are people that are passionate about it, and XDA is just this a massive amount of resource that people don't really. I wish people would really realize that XDA is not one person. It's a group of international developers and people that use these devices. People like you and I, and people that are around the world that truly are passionate about Android and other mobile devices. I mean, Windows Mobile also Windows exists as well there, but I mean, 90% is Android. And the Nexus gave me that feeling. I really reminisce about it. I hate the fact that I had to sell it at some point. Since then, I've had iterations of upgrade and thing. The Note 2 was also kind of another big aha moment for me because that was the next step when I started being the 5.5-inch display and higher became more appealing to me because it became more functional.
Yeah, more things at one time instead of doing a whole lot of scrolling to get to things you want to read or
Yeah.
something.
No, totally. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things a lot of people don't appreciate till they see it. Like you said, they'll look at
And
it
then typing,
first. Yeah.
typing. Like I was sitting on the couch with my Note 3, and my dad's like, "I can see why you like that screen now. Like all the buttons are the size of my fingers, and it's so easy." Versus like a little like tiny a Moto G, and it's like, "Ugh, I'm trying to hit this letter, but I keep hitting this other letter instead."
So luckily enough, we have a couple of questions that came through our actual Hangout posting, and I'll
Nice.
start off with our friend Joshua Bane, and I apologize for not getting to it sooner. But the question from Joshua says basically, has the Note 5 and the S6s Plus been a better experience than the S6 or the S6 Edge for you? So you went from the S6 to the Note 5, I guess. So you can cover that from your end, and then for me, I'm going to go from I'll use the Note Edge and the S6 Edge Plus since those are the progression that I have on my side.
Yeah, the Note 5 is a superior phone to the S6 in a lot of ways. I wouldn't call it a night and day difference, but very close to it as far
Mhm.
as like battery life and features and then if you are a big fan of the pin, that's a huge thing. And fast wireless charging. And I mean, and one of the things, okay, so you were asking about these top 5 features
Yeah,
before
yeah,
we started this
definitely.
thing. And I keep thinking about it. And one of my favorite things about a note is when you need to take a screenshot. You can sit there and you can point out, okay, I have this screenshot. A lot of information's on this screen. I can just circle this and I can say, look, this is where I want you to pay attention to in the screenshot. You know, like this is what I'm highlighting. You know, I love that so much.
Especially when you, yeah, and you can send that via message, via email, text. You can, especially when you're trying to point out directions. I love that when I had my with Note 4 and the Note Edge, I do a screenshot of my Google Maps, and I, especially with my wife, who wants to pick up something, I explain it exactly on the map where it needs to be, where she needs to go. It's so much easier than just sending a saying, here's the address kind of thing. It's a much better tool. There's a lot of functionalities into the Note, the S Pen, of course.
Yeah. It's something that I don't use a whole lot. I don't pull it out a lot, but like I remember I was away from home and I needed to sign an NDA. My first NDA I ever had to sign, and I had my Note 3 or 2. I had a Note, and I was like, I downloaded at least 7 different PDF apps trying to find one that would let me edit it and sign. And I finally found one. And the funny thing is, it was an app I bought for 10 cents back when they had that huge sale, like in
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
2011.
yeah. I remember exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A whole bunch of them were like 10 cents,
Yeah,
10 cents
so
apps
it
on
was an
Google. Yeah.
app I had bought for 10 cents back in 2000, like I think it was like 2 years ago. But when I need to sign the NDA, it was from like a year or two ago. So I was like, okay, cool. And I was able to sign my name and the date and stuff from my phone, save the PDF, and then email it back to him without using a computer or printing it, signing it, scanning it, uploading it. It was all right here on my phone. Like that to me was like people were asking me like, hey, what app did you use? I sign things all the time, and I want to know what app you used. I think it was
So
an easy PDF, but I think now you can do it by default. Samsung advertises that
yeah,
now.
no, I think they integrated it much better with PDF viewing and Office integration as well. So as far when I opened it up, I realized you get like 100 gigs free with OneDrive, and you also have a much better integration with Office and PDF viewing, a way better experience with that. For me, I guess from the Note Edge to the S6 Edge Plus, I truly feel it's as an upgrade. It's still not as functional. It's the way the Edge is used on both devices is different. The reason I say that is on the Note Edge, it's actually a separate screen. Most people don't realize it's not really an edge the way the S6 Edge is, because you can notice you have different experiences here. You can actually scroll through.
It's totally
But
separate
it's a
from.
separate screen. And when you're watching media, when you're experiencing videos on it, your video is really cropped down to that line that it gets up to this point. You don't really get video at the top edge. With the new S6 Edge Plus, you're actually able to see video much better. The screen is using the full 5.7-inch display at the higher resolution, which I think is a better implementation.
Yeah, I could see that being I could see the old one having its uses where it's completely independent and separate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can see watching a video being annoying. I could see that being annoying, not having like a cropped like ratio. So I can see that being annoying, but at the same time, I think it's kind of cool that they have it completely separated.
No,
So
it functions very well, and
I think you should be able to change that. Like,
yes,
I think you should be able to watch the movie on the edges and have a full experience. But then also like when you're using like normal apps, just be able to make the sides completely independent, like you could on the older edges, where it's just it's its own little thing. There's nothing. It's not. It's separated from the normal screen.
It is,
I think
and
you should be able to do that, except for when you're watching a video or something is playing full screen. I think then it would be annoying having that little bar there.
No, and it's a different. I think it's still part of what Samsung's trying to do. They're trying to figure out what to do with the Edge outside of making it look good. The device, I mean, obviously it's a thin device. It looks nice. It has all the benefits of the Note 5 outside of the S Pen, and I think that's one of the reasons why I liked it. It has the dual screen. It has all the functionalities of the things that I like. I can still have pop-out windows. I can have multi, as I said, with the dual screen. I think if I had to decide between the two, and I don't understand why it's more expensive, but I think it's just a marketing thing. I think personally, I would have gone with the Note 5 had I not had a Note. That would have been my thing. I would have picked it up.
Having all the previous Notes, that's why I got the Note 5. I was like, I already.
Yeah, no, and I went to the store with the intention of buying the Note 5, and then as I went in and I held the notes, I realized I got a message on my phone, and I'm like, but I already have a Note. It's kind of a, do I really need it? Is it really a big upgrade between a Note 4 and a Note 5? For me, it wasn't. Plus, soon enough, I know I'll have all the features in the Note 5 on my Note 4 my Note Edge, so not worried about that.
For YouTube, I definitely. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know. I probably would have gone with an Edge if it wasn't for YouTube, for personal experience. Because I've never had an Edge, and I've really always been fascinated with the idea of having that extra little thing, like your phone's laying on a table, and it's like, oh, you have a message from this person, and it's just like if you have a case on your phone, you can see the message outside of that. I always thought
that's the one. Yeah. The S6 Edge case. Always worked really nice. You could just basically turn it on, and then you get the notifications on it. It flips over.
Like that right there.
It's really nice. Those are the things they should have kept. And I think Samsung's made a big mistake with the way they went. They went more aesthetically pleasing to basically just make it look. I mean, you could technically still have the data if you rub it, and I think I can still. Yeah. So it still shows up on the screen itself here, but it's not really functional when your entire screen is there. But like I said, if I didn't have a Note, I would have probably went straight with the Note 5.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the Edge, but being trying to stay on top of the game and having the latest videos up, I definitely had wanted to get the Note 5, and I don't know.
We'll see.
I figured it's my decision on not getting an Edge phone is like more people are probably going to buy the standard version of a phone, like the S5, the S6. People are going to buy the S6, not the S6 Edge, because it's going to cost more. And people may not understand the benefits of having the Edge, and they just want to get the standard version. And I wanted to, if I had to have the choice between the two, I'd want to get the one that more people are willing to search for.
Well, so the next question would be really a good segue to that is, so did you do any work with the LG G4? I'm not sure if I remember exactly.
I did get one.
You got the review in it, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, I did get one, and I did like it, but I didn't like the idea that like my carrier, like I couldn't take it outside of the house. It was a Wi-Fi only device. I didn't get to. No, you're fine. I didn't.
Going from the 3DS is high.
Huh? Oh,
He's playing the 3DS.
Yeah. My daughter's the same way. She'll have her little Chromebook, and it's like, you need to put headphones on. That's loud.
That is loud.
I didn't hear it because I was talking, but crap, not sure what were we saying?
No, you were referring to the LG G4, how you had some issues when you left the house.
Yeah, like it was a Wi-Fi only device, and I know that, I understand that, but it makes it to me it makes it really hard to decide, is this going to be my permanent new phone? Like, is this going to be my daily? Like, I've gotten so spoiled by T-Mobile's LTE that like I can't go back to those older 2G, 3G networks that it was only supporting. Like, it was only bringing up those old networks, and it was like, oh my goodness, stuff was just like, if you had to use data outside of your house, it was really bad because it wasn't meant to be like it was they told me in the thing it was going to be a Wi-Fi only device. And to me, that made it really hard to like take it outside of my home and use it and then recommend it to people. I want to get a carrier edition, but I can't afford a carrier edition right now.
Yeah, I did end up going with the G4. Sorry, I did end up going with a G4 for T-Mobile, and so that was a good upgrade for me. I liked it, and I've used it for a long time, and basically up till recently, I'm actually selling it right now because I'm moving on to this S6 Edge Plus. But if I had to choose between the two, unfortunately, I would choose the Note 5. I think the Note 5 is a much better device, even though it's based on the S6, more of a technology as far as the CPU, a little bit more RAM, but the reality matter is still an S6. It works much better. The camera, the UI, I think the LG UI has a lot to go. They're not consistent. The way the setup is, the button, I think just the functionalities are not all there. So because it's one of the questions that we had is somebody said would you stick with the G4 or would you go to the Note 5? He has both of them, and what would you think? I think personally, Note 5 hands down, better camera, better UI, much faster processing. And I think there's no overheating issues. You have fast charging. both wireless and non-wireless, and I love that on charging my device. I can top it off right away, with any QC 2.0, Quick Charge 2.0 compatible device.
Yep, I'm recently getting into Quick Charge myself, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, I saw your video from was it yesterday, the day before?
Yeah, 30-40 minutes of having your phone charging. It's damn near full. I'm a fan of quick charging, but as far as the G4 goes, I wish I could get a carrier version and play with it some more, so I could say this is definitely something you should choose over this phone or that phone. But at the moment, I can't say that. I can't say that. I liked the G4. And I loved the camera on it. My wife was blown away. She likes good cameras on phones, and she loved the G4's camera. She's like, "This is gonna be my phone," but I'm like, we can't go back to 2G and 3G. There's no way. Like I can't do that. I have fiber at home. I could run a speed test right now and get 40, 50 down on my T-Mobile LTE here in Kansas City. I got almost 60 just the other day. Like it's just so fast. And then going down to 2G or 3G, I couldn't do it. No. Like you go to scan a price and you're like, oh, load.
Exactly. A day during the time where we have LTE. I agree. And I like I said, I personally like the camera. I like the functionality of the G4. I think they have some good hardware in there.
The G4. I know this is for the Note 4, but the G4 has a battery and an SD card. Yes. And like you can't. I will never say. There's always gonna be a use for this. This battery is full. People don't understand that. If my battery is 40% and I'm fixing to leave the house, I can choose to take this and put it in my pocket and wait for the other battery to die and then have a fresh one, or I can go ahead and swap it out right before I leave and let the other one charge up while I have 100% one in my phone. And the Note 4 battery has been fantastic. It lasts over a day easily with just standard usage. And so it's like, and this one charges in a couple hours. So and you have tons of these little batteries laying around. Like when I'm on trips, I pull out my big 10,000 zero
lemon. Yep, zero lemon.
And
exactly.
I'm tethering for hours without even charging it. Like that's the thing about the G4 and the Note 4 and stuff. Like those phones are still gonna have people like me who are really gonna enjoy those features of being able to just swap out batteries. Now, if you're not someone I know people that have a Note 4 or a Note 3 or a G3, and they've never bought another battery for it, so they just use the one it came with.
Yep.
Those people could move on to a non-renewable battery or storage and not care. But then you got power users that are like, heck no, never go.
No. I think it will be based a lot on your usage and what you do. For me, with the Nexus 6, it was a big learning curve for me, for at least the way I end up learning how to adapt to using a device with a limited amount of storage, because I only got the 32 gig.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the higher level one.
I have a 64 gig, and I'm probably only using 3 or 4 gigs of it, and that's the biggest difference. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's the biggest difference between a Samsung and a Nexus device. With the Nexus device, I have a 64 gig phone, and I'm only using 3 gigs of it. I've got a 32 gig phone, and I have 16 gigs free. And it's like, if you had a 32 gig Nexus 6, you've probably got 25, 26 gigs free, maybe 27.
Much higher number. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, because it doesn't take nearly as much bloatware. The ROMs are not nearly as huge. It's a big deal. I'm probably going to take this to T-Mobile and pay the difference and get the 64 gig version.
So for me with the Nexus, the reason it was a big challenge for me is because when you start modding and changing things into the device, rooting, and if nothing else, just creating an Android backup of your system, that's usually about 8 to 9 gigs, depending on what you have on your system with media and content and so on. So for me, I was constantly hitting that threshold wall of I'm running out of space. I would get the error message in the Play Store, not enough space to install an app. And I have to say thank you because you did a video a while back, and I don't remember how long ago, but you did a video about this little toy, this little tiny thing, and it's exactly it's this little tiny thing that will save your life. This will make you just forget about storage space, how much you have stored on your device. I have a 128 gig card in there. Never have to worry about it. It's on my keychain. I take it out, I put it in,
and you just swap them out. You swap them out.
You can swap out the cards too, and then I'm waiting for the higher level ones to be cheaper to be able to try it out with the 200 gig. But
I know
it's at 128 is just massive. I plug it in. and I just transfer my content off. And exactly. So I think you remember, yeah, you had quite a few of them, and the only one I think that found this one to be best because of the way it fits on your keychain.
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
A little pocket,
it's tiny. It's
you
tiny.
put it in.
My wallet, the little like USB part. It's so small. I keep it in my wallet.
Yeah,
I keep it in my wallet, and I don't
perfect.
notice it's there. And if I do need to plug this little guy into like a computer, I pull it out of my wallet and I plug it in. Like, it's not that big of a inconvenience. One of my new favorite ones is definitely the Patriot one I did a few months ago, I think. It's tiny. It's like smaller and thinner than this one. I think it's smaller. But this one is just kind of it just doesn't feel I don't know.
The ergonomics, I think it just works better with the other ones.
But like the Patriot one, it's this little rubber thing. It's super convenient, and it's like this, but it's got little caps on each end, and it's just flush, and it's tiny, and it's small, and it's convenient, and it's like 64 gigs. But yeah, definitely, and you can plug it into a computer. You don't have to carry around that extra little adapter. But this one's still my favorite. This one's my favorite. I have a few of these. I have a different ones. They're actually sending me a revised unit. Actually, they emailed me and said they've updated it and made the LED a little bit brighter. They said
yes, that was my only thing. The LED was very, very faint when I first got it.
A lot of people complained about the LED.
I almost didn't see it.
Send me. Yeah, I didn't notice it was there. And my first impressions, I was like, no, there's no light there.
Yeah,
but you had to like turn your lights off and go, oh yeah, it is there.
If you have to look that hard, I don't know. Is it really?
I know.
Yeah. All I cared about it was
revised version with a brighter LED, so that's pretty cool.
And it worked on almost all devices. Nexus devices, you had, of course, chain fire, stick mount. You put it in, it works like a charm. So I personally think so like I said, the Note 5 for me is hands down. You get the 64 gig model and you're set. You need more space, just use this, and you'll never really have to get there, even with backups. I think that 64 is a magic number. With my Note, that's what I did. I got the 64, which is really good. And I added, but you had the SD card option too, so that was the beauty of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, I guess from the sense of, I don't want to, we take too much of a lot of people's time, but I want to kind of, if you had to kind of throw a couple, three features, if you thought about it of the Note 5, you've had it for, I think we've had it for almost about a week or so. I think you got yours before me. And so what do you think? What would you say is the best things that you've liked on, like, top 3 things on the Note 5?
Top 3 is the appearance, the appeal to it. It is a sleek device. It looks nice. It feels good in your hand. I really like it. Again, that fingerprint scanner versus putting in a pattern that someone's standing behind you, maybe watching you put in. Yep. And then the live streaming to YouTube feature, that is so cool, and a lot of people want me to keep doing that, and I'm going to keep doing it. You pull out your phone and you're talking to possibly 100 people, 1,000 people, tens of thousands of people, and it's all from your phone without needing to tether your phone to your laptop or something to do it.
It's making us less and less reliant on any kind of physical PC, other than the render videos, because that's part of the job. But you're going to be less and less, like, why do I even need to turn on my PC? I'll live stream it. I'll do it on Periscope. I'll do a whole bunch of different things. And so those are the things that I liked about the device too. I like the fact that it's a great display. The S6 Edge and the Note 5 share a lot of similarities with the metal display. Yep. Kind of weird because the Note 5 has the curve on the back of the display when the S6 Edge has the curve on the front, because they kind of have they both have the actual natural curve to the device, but yours is more curved, to me, more ergonomically held. And I think the display would be one thing for me. The ability to do pop-up applications are still there, very functional. The camera, of course, is always, I think, by far the best thing.
And the front camera is beyond 1080p. It's like it's 1440p on YouTube.
Yeah, that's like, you don't need to buy a second camera to vlog. You have what you need. You can do everything you know. Now, all I want, if I can actually get my hands on a KumaCam stabilizer, the three-axis gimbal stabilizer, then I'm set. But it's $300. It's going to be one of those tough ones to get.
Yeah, like people that have those expensive sliders. I'm like, spending $1,800 on a slider. It's just.
If you could just, honestly, I'm not above it. If I can, I would justify it. But yeah, you're right. It's really
how many phones could I buy with that? How many car payments could I make with that? Like, how many
No, no, I agree. I agree. At the end of the day, we gotta remember the life still goes on. You're right.
Yeah, no.
And it's one of those things that the real reason why I really appreciate this, that you do end up doing all of that, and you fit still sharing so much of your experiences with devices with people, which I think a lot of people appreciate. They realize that you're still a dad, you still have things to do, you still have to take care of things, but you still you still care. And I personally like, one of the main reasons I like your channel is because you're in a way an open book. A lot of people can figure out exactly, and if you're having problems, if you're having concerns, you let them know. You're like, hey, we're going through some tough times, and I felt bad during that time, and I'm sorry, and I'm glad that you guys are doing a little better. And that's the main reasons why I think a lot of YouTubers like channels like yours, and myself as well, is the honesty and the sincerity that comes through in your videos. I want to say thank you, because you do a lot of good things, and you cover a lot more things that I wish I could, but I'm appreciative of the fact that you can and do that.
I'm very fortunate. I didn't get here overnight. It definitely was not something.
No, of course not. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Just happened. Some people have major success in a very short time. It has not been a short time at all. But I definitely am not complaining. I am very happy with where I'm at right now.
I remember your days at your old Transformer Prime. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
The Transformer Prime TF201. I remember you were doing a video, and I think you were doing a shot.
That was such a cool.
What's it called? I forgot what it. Flossie Carter, I think. You were standing back there, and you're wishing him a happy birthday. And I remember I'm looking at my TF201 right there. I'm like, yeah, I know that feeling. I used to do the exact same thing. Connect my camera there. It was a big screen. It was a high resolution screen.
Chainfire, man. Chainfire is amazing. I freaking if I admired somebody a lot, it would be Chainfire. His root app, his rooting tools, his DSLR. I don't use the DSLR anymore, but when it was so convenient.
The DSLR controller with Wi-Fi. I still use it to now. That's what I use to control. Even though my cameras have Wi-Fi, it's by far the standard. The ability to just control your entire camera.
Control your white balance, control your exposure, control your this, control your that. It's amazing. Chainfire is just fantastic.
Fantastic. I really hope he's going to be going to the barbecue this year. I'd like to be able to meet up with him. I actually met with the creator of Twerp, which is also was a very good.
Is that who is the creator? Is it Des Troy?
Yeah, Des Troy's. So these Troy's or Tom. Tom's the main guy, but it is a community-based support, so it's not. Yeah,
it's community-based, but who? I don't know who originally created that.
These Troy's was the original.
That was still very, very, very new, and I was like, no, I'm gonna keep using Clockwork. I'm dedicated Clockwork.
I was a big fan of Clockwork too, and but once you get it, it's hard to leave Twerp.
Yeah, Twerp is so good, and
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
My son's like, I need to help him out with this level on Super Mario World 2. We are at the boss level. Give me 5 minutes, buddy. Okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, and also the Clockwork mod. For me, I phased it out. It was no longer. It was something I didn't even unless it was the only recovery available for that phone. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
There's some areas where it's functional. I felt like the main thing that got me out of it was I had to buy to have the touch recovery installed. It did not make sense to me where that was where everything else has it. It's still there.
What really got me was when I bricked my Transformer Prime. Pay $2 to get touch recovery. I was like, okay, cool. I'll pay the $2. And then I install it, and now my freaking thing won't boot up. It's a black screen. I was so thankful I did that tutorial on NV Flash.
Yeah, no. So the Transformer Prime had a lot of issues with the way it was done because of the way. Yeah, you're right. Getting it, upgrading, getting updates to it, and flashing things to it. That's another piece. I don't want to make it sound like the TF201 didn't have any issues, but you're right. The way Clockwork was, to me, I just felt like it should be there. Maybe some additional features would have been done premium, but to pay a fee just to get touch recovery where everywhere else you can download.
To break your device. I I was done at that point. I was so thankful I
Man.
did Enemy Flash because I was able to go back. It was cool. I went from freaking Jelly Bean to the old original image of of Honeycomb. I almost
Oh
forgot. You
yeah,
almost forget
honeycomb.
about that. Like I was
Honeycomb.
able to go to Honeycomb. Like I was able to go that far back thanks to the keys that I had, I guess, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like there's been issues where like developers like Mskip, he was
Hmm.
like, hey Couch, your recovery when you back something up, it completely wipes your system. Like you messed that up, and it's like it takes him. I don't even know if he ever even fixed that. He's
I
just super
think it's just they
slow.
stopped developer. Yeah, they stopped the
Yeah,
developer for a while, and he's moving on to different things. He has.
I don't mean to. I don't.
No, no, no. So there's many good things about what he did. I think he started main things. I mean, he was there way before
Yeah, yeah,
WordCamp
exactly.
started.
Like
The ROM manager app that he
Kings.
had. Yeah, no, he had a very good implementation of it. I liked it. It was good. I bought the app when way back in the old days. I think the reason why I left it was the touch, but that was because of my personal preference. I felt like our devices are big enough now that this tiny little menu with the volume up and down control didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but not going to make it into a touch with, sorry, a twerp versus clockwork mouth discussion. We can, if you'd like, on a separate episode. But
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree.
I want to say thank you very much for taking time of your morning and coming and joining me on a Tech Talk with the Side of Tech. Like I said, big fan. I appreciate it, and hopefully, if in the future we may be able to ask you again to see if maybe you can join us, and we'll try to make it geekier, I guess. I'm not gonna
Definitely,
say.
and TK, I said this to you earlier. Your app reviews are phenomenal. The way you present things and the way you discuss things and the way you describe how to use things. It
Mhm.
goes from this complicated thing that I normally wouldn't have ever even like attempted to learn on my own to like you have a very pleasant voice that's really easy to listen to. And mine's like the super happy, tons of caffeine, like personality, and yours is like this really, calm, easy to understand. I mean, like I don't know, like you present apps very well. Like you are the perfect app reviewer guy.
I try to the way at least I try to perceive it is I look at it as I'm talking to you. So talking to the camera behind me right there is generally what I try to do is as if I was in a conversation. So
Yeah.
if I'm talking to you with a normal voice, I feel like we should be able to hear each other and talk. And I've worked through my audio issues, so I've gotten at least the audio. You can hear it well, and I try to do that. And I think that's been just the approach. I just want to make sure that we're having a conversation. I'll show you what I think I like about the app, what I like about this module, or I like about this device. And hopefully by the end of the conversation, we'll both have an opinion. Hopefully the same
Yeah.
one, but we'll see.
And the audio sounds good. I've been following you for a while. I remember back when you were experimenting with different types of things for audio. Like
Yeah.
you'd have one for your camera and one for your computer, and it would sound like people would comment like, "Hey, this sounds way
Oh
better. You should
man.
just use that." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen you change too, and it's awesome.
It's a great way to see evolution. And now I'm trying, like I said, we talked before, we said we're trying to do more voiceovers, we're trying to do more smoother transitions and so on. So it still goes, things still change and evolve, so it's good. It's
Yep.
very, very good.
Yep. I don't want to. You're talking real nice about me. I don't want to like sound like
No. It truly is. I really do admire your work. That's really what it is. It's a true admiration, and I want to say thank you very much again for taking your time on Saturday to sit down with me, and we're having a nice conversation. And
Likewise.
hopefully in the future we'll have another chat. Maybe on the next conversation, I'll hit you up definitely on Twitter to keep bugging you about your devices once I find new little tricks and.
Next time I'll have to announce it too. Like, hey, on this day we're going to be doing this because I want to get as many people in here as possible. Like,
yeah, and I want to say again,
next time I want to get in. I want to get a lot of people in here.
Yeah, I also want to say, I mean, we had a few viewers also that came in and out. I want to say thank you very much, and thank you for submitting your questions here on the actual on the Hangout event. Hopefully we answer your questions. I want to say, shout out to Joshua Bane. I want to thank you very much. Been a big fan of his work. A very nice guy. And since we have a short list, I'll actually be, if you don't mind, Timothy McDonald. I want to say thank you for being a viewer, and I think it's Ibtikar Muntazir. I'll say, how you doing? Thank you for submitting your question. And I want to say thanks again, Josh, for giving us time to be able to talk. We'll definitely hope to do this soon.
Yep. And next time we should do a hashtag question.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
We'll do a better one.
Ask TK, wwjd, whatever, something.
We'll do it better. This is, for me, it's episode 2, so it was also a learning experience as well.
Yep. All right. And my Chromebook obviously handles this very well. So
very, very well. Yes. Okay, guys. So with this, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and go off air, and I appreciate it. I know we went a little over, but it's hard to talk for an hour and not get sidetracked. I'm surprised we didn't
Especially
go
when you're talking to Josh.
Yeah. And you want to say bye? Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.